We keep on moving. I'm feeling your heat. It's burning to find me. We're falling, we're loving, we're moving. We're falling, we're loving, we're moving. We're loving, we're moving. We keep on moving. I'm feeling your heat. It's burning to find me. We're falling, we're loving, we're moving. We're falling, we're loving, we're moving. On repeat. Hello, 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 hello. Here we go, here we go, here we go. And hello, everybody. Hi, 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 hi. Here we are together with the beautiful, amazing, talented Alice today, aka Biskuwi.
Biskuwi, yeah.
Hello. Hi, and let's start our second day of 12 Days of Creativity Masterclasses. And today we're going to start with a beautiful interview. So with Alice, I'm just going to quickly, before we start introducing Alice and go to the questions, I'm going to just introduce what 12 Days of Creativity is all about. So let's have a little quick look. So it's a music production challenge, and it happens this autumn to kind of winter. This is how the challenge works. So you can join bi-weekly masterclasses from September to November for guidance and tasks. Watch my live stream to see Ableton Live and production techniques in action. So I'm currently doing my EP. So I'm doing one track a month, and I'm this year, and I'm finishing this year with an EP. So I'm producing all the tracks in live streams on my YouTube channel, so you can have a look at those. The point of this challenge is to try to finish a track. Just finish a track. You don't even need to like it. Just finish it. That's the whole point. We don't judge for the giveaway. We don't judge if it's good or bad. The fact that you submit something, that's already entering you to the giveaway. Download your 12 days of creativity planner from the link down below. We're going to be talking about that in a session today, 6:30 p.m. and how to fill it up. And I'm going to talk about workflows. Complete the challenge at your own pace, and you can join this challenge at any time. So just follow this up. Sign up below for updates, extra tips, and giveaway details. So if you want to do the giveaway, take part of it, then sign up from the link down below. So for the detailed workflow, sign up for my online course, which is Ableton Live online course that shows you how to make a full track from start to finish in 7 hours or something. It's a super, super detailed one. You can check that out from the link down below. And there's a minus 25% off code for everybody who's joining this challenge. And also check out my Patreon community for some peer support for fellow squirrels, because my patrons are called Squirrel Squad. Don't ask me why. It just started from a sample and then took. It's super cute. I love that we have like so many people, just like when we have meetings, everybody's just wearing Squirrel Squad shirt and stuff. It's so cute.
That is so cute.
It's such a kind, beautiful family. And just to say, the 12 days of creativity tasks. So the second task here will be given today later in the 6:30 p.m. session. And the first week you can go and check out from the previous live streams. It was to study what type of music you want to do and define your goal. And then today we will be seeing how do we build on that goal and how do we actually create a plan for that, called workflow. Okay, so just to mention, the first giveaway is Baby Audio Plugin Bundle. It's amazing. Have you used that, Alice?
Of course I do. Yeah, great. Get that plugin. Get those plugins.
They are great. I use them so much. I probably use them more than any other, like delays and reverb, especially. Yeah. The compact kit is literally anything sounds freaking delicious with it.
Mm-hmm. And then first time when I see Andrew's plugin, I get the perma copy, and this is just like a effects that you put next to each other. It can be good, and now it's literally in every single one of my project files. It's like I ate my version. I was like, okay, this was cool. This was good.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it's the same thing. And I was just like, I was so sold on this straight away.
Yeah.
So if you remember, your track doesn't need to be good. It can literally also be 8-bar loop. Like, that's the whole point, is just to challenge yourself to do something new, challenge yourself to look at your workflow, look at your creativity, look at who you are as a creator, just create and look at that more. And then you might be one of the winners. And you get also my online course and some merch. Second giveaway, the person who posts most about this challenge online and your process and your progression can also win something. My merch and online course. Cool. And thank you also for the sponsor of this series, DistroKid. So this year, when I've been publishing everything like once a month, I've been making a track and then publishing it like day later after I finished it. I'll be like, DistroKid, I've been using that to publish all my tracks. Have you ever done that, Alice, when you just finished a master one day before?
Nowadays, I'm trying to at least give myself, in best case, or in worst case, 2 weeks, in hopefully at least 3 weeks. The main reason is nowadays I like to pitch my tracks to editorials, and they always want like minimum 2 weeks. They say 28 days, but they are oftentimes fine with 2 weeks. But like that's the main reason. If I ever get the editorials, that was the only reason.
I totally understand that. I think like for me this year, it has been, I wanted to do that, but I also thought like I would put too much pressure on myself if I like would overthink it too much. So I've been like, I haven't got editorial playlist this year. I've used Submit Hub to get some playlists, which has been great. But I've been just literally like finish the track, just post it next day, and just next one.
That's the spirit.
So thank you so much, DistroKid, for sponsoring this event, and I'm gonna do that later on. So here we go then. Thank you so much, Alice,
Happy being
for
here.
coming to this event. I honestly appreciate so much. I known you now for a couple years because we met properly, well, met when I interviewed for my book, which comes next year, but it was so.
Big thing. Again, congratulations.
Thank
Having a
you.
book, that makes you a super cool person.
It's imposter syndrome by thousand, I would say, with this one. But thank you. I'm nervous but excited. I'm giddy about it.
I'm
But
looking forward to read it.
well, your interview is in there.
Cool.
And I remember that we had a lot of interesting chats about creativity and workflows and insecurities that we might have as content creators and musicians and all this. And I thought, well, who's a great person to come to this challenge to talk about? So perfect choice.
Thank you for inviting again.
So would you like to, you are like a multifaceted powerhouse of a person. You do everything. You are a performer, music producer, DJ, you are a content creator, educator, you are a company owner, now festival organizer. So please, did I miss something? Or please, probably many things, but please, can you tell a little bit about your job and everything that you do and your passions?
The description of my job is super easy. I do everything music related. Like, if you think about the music, there are so many different sides of music. Education is one part, performing is another part, creating the music itself is another part, creating a content around is another part. So I try to make everything music related because I love music so much. So any piece of it is fun for me for doing. So that's the reason I think I don't see too much difference. Like, okay, I'm gonna go DJ this, let's say this Friday. It's same as like creating a video as well, because what I do, I either talk about the music, or I teach about music, or just I play music, or I make music. So it's all the same, just different side of the same coin, I will say. So that's the reason that it's easy for me, I guess. But yeah.
How long have you now do it, like all of it? I would say as a professional, because you've had company before, and you started your YouTube channel, which is amazing, and it like is really growing a lot. And so how would you say, like, how long you've been in the all of it?
I will say, like, the professional part, it really depends, because I also played in festivals in a band like 20 years ago. So that was also kind of a professional if you think about it. But like earning my life from music, it happened, I will say, maybe now 4 years ago. I just quitted my job. Like one day I decided, no, that's it. I'm not gonna work anymore with the regular corporate jobs, and I'm gonna just become a person does stuff around music. So I was not able to pinpoint, am I going to be a musician? I'm going to be a DJ, or I'm going to be like a YouTuber, or what is the purpose here? So I was like, no, I don't need to put any name or tag on it. I'm just going to do the things that like helps me survive with music. And I never looked back. Everything went well afterwards, I guess. I was one of the lucky ones maybe, but yeah.
Isn't it interesting also when you start with this, and especially like YouTube and stuff? It's like when you start something, then your interest starts changing, and then you start finding like where you want to go. And then it's amazing to be able to have a career where you can also change direction, or you can mold it into whatever you need it to be for you.
It is extremely nice to have. If you consider like working in a corporate job, you really don't have so much choice of what to do apart from your profession. You can have the world's best company, but you're still put inside a job description that you have to carry out. But we do, like, we create our own job description. So I can decide today that what I'm going to do tomorrow, and nobody will ever kind of say anything about it. It works or not, you live and see, but from like able to do it, it's super nice. Like, able to do the things that you want to do is, I think, one of the best things in the world that I will suggest to everyone. It doesn't need to be music, right? Whatever your passion is. Of course,
I
it's
agree.
easy to say because most of the time people will say, yes, my passion is this, but how can you survive on it? How can you earn
Mm,
a living out of it? And I think in our cases, we are able to do that. And I'm just
mm,
thankful. Like I'm able to do this, and it is awesome. It's
mm.
really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? I've realized like the other day, I was thinking because um no, what it was like a year ago we moved places, and then you needed to write like what you earn for a living and stuff, and I needed to write obviously self-employed. And then in UK at least there is this like a little bit like people don't look, if you're self-employed, it's like slightly not as well seen as like if you're employed. And I started thinking like actually I would say that I'm more secure financially now than I was before, because when you're in a full-time employment you can be fired one day, or the company can lose, like you need to, whatever can happen, and you are not in power of that. But in now, the after years and years of hustling, I always kind of know that I can go back to educating. I can always go back to doing courses. I can always go back to busking, like where I started from. You know, I kind of know the journey that I've taken, and I always know that I can go back into certain things if I need to. And I find that security in that. But I feel like when people talk about musicians, there's not often talk about that actually hustling can bring security in a because you trust yourself, you know.
100%.
Mm,
And the other thing is, like, nowadays, if you think about it, we complain, most of the, let's say, musicians complain about it, like we have to be content creators, we have to be musicians, we have to be like a very social person, we have to be like having a networking, and we have to create interesting music ideas or whatever. The thing is, all of them are correct, we have to, but that makes you kind of a Swiss knife, because you learn video editing, you learn creating new ideas, you learn how to pitch yourself, you learn how to create a website, you learn how to create a product, you learn how to market that product afterwards, you learn performing, you learn networking. There's so many things that a regular corporate job wouldn't teach you, and
mm,
nobody teaches us. We are forced to do it. And again, I understand some, like, musicians really hate it because we all want to just do music, but being forced to learn all those different things actually kind of provides you a kind of extra that not many people have. Like
yeah,
learning all this stuff. If you, like, let's say music disappeared today from the earth, all the things that we have learned, I'm 100% positive we will find a way, something else that we can create a similar path going forward and earn a living out of it. Just with the things
100%.
that we learned.
Like when I was younger, I always wanted to be a baker or like make like real living making looking cakes that like look real. And I was always thinking like if all goes to shit and the internet doesn't, or like I can't be a musician, I could just start making those cakes
Yeah,
and somehow make a business out of that. Or
exactly.
like I don't know, something. I'm sure that somehow I'll figure it out because I figured this out I can do. Like you start trusting
100%.
because you've done it once, you feel like, but then I feel like that's the thing is like I hope that uh you know, when people, if you're there and you want to have a career like us, and people around you are saying, oh, it doesn't support you, it doesn't make it, I also feel like don't trust the people who's never done it. Listen to the people who have done it and follow their advice, and not the people's fears who are around you. Like if your mom or dad says, oh, there's no money in music, but here we are, two people who make money
Yeah,
from music.
yeah,
It's like, well, ask how we did it and then do that, and don't listen to the fears of people who's not never done it. Like I think that's kind of, I don't know, I've kind of realized that reason. I was like, why do people listen to people who's never never done it?
100%. Yeah, I think people likes to go for the easiest route, because if somebody asks me, like, okay, I want to earn a lot of money, and what you suggest me to do, I would probably suggest, okay, go become an engineer or doctor, because it's more like obvious, more like pre-written path. Like if you
Mm,
study doctor or medicine, then you know what's going to happen more or less. You don't have too much like uncertainties. Like what we do is has much more uncertainties maybe, but also much more
mm,
rewarding. Like there's the thing,
yeah.
like it's a much more open field that depends on you as a person. Like you have to be the one that driving the way out. But if you are, let's say, studying engineering, you can just study and just apply a couple of jobs and then just go
Yeah.
with the flow. You don't need to do much.
Yeah. I
Saying
think
that as
that's
an
what, like,
engineer, old engineer that quit job.
yeah. Um, okay, so now let's go to the actual questions because I know that we could just chat about a million things.
Forever.
There was a good question already there. Shavron was asking, how do we manage to do so much at the same time? But let's come back to this because I actually have this as a question as well. So let's, if you do have, if you're watching this and you have any questions, then please put them in the chat. And we have a third person, Sophie, here. Where's going, Sophie? Hi. That was a
That was
cool.
the shortest hi ever.
Sorry. That felt mean. Okay, bye,
Yeah, I
Sophie.
got the day disappeared.
Uh, so Sophie's gonna pick up all the questions and then just keep on asking them, and she will be there. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go to the first question. Can you walk us through your typical creative workflow when you start a new track?
Yes. Actually, nowadays, kind of streamlined my working process, I think, especially the past year, due to I'm working also a couple of really like star DJs that I learn from or I'm coaching most of the time or like helping them to produce better music. But what I do oftentimes that what they call sometimes it, or some people call the hook. So other people will call the like the spirit of the track. So what I'm after every single time is like I will put like just a single drum loop, whatever it is, and I will just iterate until I find something like because if I start a track, I also try to tell this when I'm my courses, like the new beginners, like you can make a whole track without having a single good idea in it. If you really
Yeah.
start building your track without really having an idea. So nowadays, because that all that time is actually lost, because what you should be doing, that's my own personal opinions. There are a lot of
Mm,
people may think other way around, but my personal opinion is like you find the idea that you really, really love, and then you build a track around that idea that the whole track can actually elevate that idea that you had. If you don't have that idea, you don't know what to do the rest of the elements that you have in
mm,
the track. So nowadays, what I would do, like just put a simple kick drum and then try to find that idea. That idea doesn't need to be a melody or vocal. That idea has to be like something that you really love and that you know that whoever listens this track, at least some of them will be kind of resonating with that idea.
it's like a
Sometimes it's like
motive, emotional
exactly.
motive, something that hits you somewhere.
Exactly. Like when you find it, you know it. You immediately know it every single
Mm,
time. Sometimes for me, sometimes it could be like a simple weird sound. Sometimes it could be a vocal. Sometimes it could be even simple pad sounds. Like it could be anything. Like, but the moment you find it, you are like, oh, that's so good. And now I can start. Now I can build a track around it. And that actually improved my track finishing time so much because now I would spend maybe a day or two to just find that idea and don't start anything. And then when I find it, it will just flow. Like, okay, this, and this, we go drop here, let's put a break here, bam, 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 down.
yeah, because everything else is mechanical. Everything else
Exactly.
is mechanical because when you already have the motive and you ask what serves that motive. What just so instead of adding, you ask what does it need. So everything else is just mechanical. Okay, let's create a drop. I'm just going to create space in here. I'm going to put a sweep there. I'm going to put a swell there. It's all these like samples you might already have and use. I don't know. I do that quite a lot with sweeps and swells and stuff. Is that I have my collection of them and I just kind of like because they kind of sound similar.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes I've used different ones.
I
Do you
think
know
it
what I
was
mean?
Linium who said that, like, you don't need to make your sweeps that define you. Nobody cares. It's just a sweep. Like, don't spend too much time on those things. It won't define your artistic career. I think it was Linium who said that. So I 100% agree with that. Like, your sweeps doesn't need
100%.
to define you at all. It is just a sweep. Get over it.
Do you know what? I keep on doing this. So I get all my like sweeps and this kind of stuff from Splice because I always say that I know I don't need to prove anyone that I can create a sweep. I don't need to prove anyone that I can create certain thing. So if I know where the sound is and I can go and in 1 second go and get it from there, I rather do that because, as you said, nobody cares. Nobody
Nobody cares.
knows.
Nobody cares. Nobody really
Nobody.
cares.
No.
Casual listeners, maybe a DJ somewhere or producer somewhere else. Maybe they do, but it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Their opinions doesn't matter. The only thing that
exactly.
matters is like you put a good track that makes sense
Mm-hmm.
and a good idea that really comes from you.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, like there's example, like let's say that your track lives many, many decades, and in 20 years, you used one, let's say, hook, some kind of guitar chord from Splice. In 20 years, the soul of the track will live, but nobody will know that guitar chord was from Splice, and nobody cares that it's from
Nobody
Splice.
cares.
Do you know, like if you find, I'm not like, do you know what? I'm just using Splice as an example, but if you, because it's a one fast way to find things, but it could be anything. It could just be something that, yeah, some easy peasy way to do
There are
things.
things that matters. There are things that doesn't matter, and then it's all like with the life itself. Like it's always a question of prioritization. Prioritize the thing that matters, and so that you can save time from
Mm.
others.
I love what you said about that motive hook because that's something I've also realized this year. I've because doing one track a month, which was inspired by you, and that's why like I keep on inspiring other people to do the same. But actually, my first inspiration came from you because you told me to try it out, and because you did it. Did you do that
Yeah.
also at one point? And
Yes.
how was that experience for you doing one track a
It
month?
made me 100% better songwriter. Like
Mm,
being better producers, you can train and watch tutorials and so on and so
yeah,
forth. Being a better songwriter only happens writing songs. And making like
agreed.
songs every month forces you to become a songwriter. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
important. And it just gets better and better because like you understand many things when you do yourself. You understand the ideas, execution. Many producers, from my experience, including top producers, they lack the execution, not the ideas. I'm sure like
Yeah.
some beginner will come with like ace ideas, top ideas, like in a week or a month, but
Mm.
executing that ideas, that is the hard part.
That is true. I find that for me, what has been the biggest change is that I was so lost in who I was creatively. I had the technical knowledge, I had the musical knowledge, and I would say that songwriting knowledge. I would have had that because I've done music from so young age and like in all kind of forms. So I had the creativity, but I never loved music. And it sounds horrible to people who love music because I was brought up breathing it. I was brought up in it. I was not listening to it, but I was making it since I was a kid because my family is full of musicians and I went to music oriented school. So I kind of took it for granted that I was just making it. But I always, everybody else like was so much in love with music and felt so intense about it. And I was like, I don't know how that feels. And then I listened to techno and house, and then I found house music, and then I found suddenly Ben Bomer and Nora and Pure and George Fitzgerald, and I was like, "What the freaking hell is this?" And suddenly my heart like opened up, and it's only happened like this the last 2 years, and I'm like in my 30s now, and I'm now learning what falling in love for music is, and I now have learned this year how to make music that that hurts my heart because I think I feel it so much. And I think that process of doing it over and over every month has forced me to really look into what do I love? Like like you say, the motive, what makes your heart sing? When you hear that, you know when you hear it.
Exactly. They immediately know. It's just like I'm sure 100%. Even if you don't make a song, even if you are casual listeners, you know the moment. So you hear something in a song and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that is so good. That is the moment that I am looking for when I produce. Like if I get that motive, idea, drum, whatever it is, that is it. Then I'm making that track.
Yeah. Oof. It's amazing. That I feel like that my comment of declaration that I didn't love music, that sounded really horrible, but that's a whole nother story. So hopefully people don't take that wrong way, because I feel like it sounds, how can you be a musician if you don't like music? But it's like, I do love music, but it's a whole complex, it's a whole related to neurodiversity and figuring out how your brain works. And it's a whole thing. So hopefully people don't take that wrong.
I also assume that if you had other musicians in your family or around you, then it maybe felt a bit like forced to you, like you had to be a musician, like because everybody's musician, like they're pushing you. It's not like your choice, it's your like destination without you picking
I
the destination.
Alice, I was gonna be an actress all my life, but I was not gonna be a musician. I was like, when I was 19, I was like, I hate music. I don't want to do it. I wouldn't want to see it. Go away. And then when I was 23, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm a musician. And I
It
was like,
happened. I understand my family now.
I'm like, yeah. So that, yeah. So exactly what you said. That kind of like it came around. But here we go. Uh, do you ever feel pressure from external feedback or trends from electronic music scene, and how do you stay authentic to your unique sound? And especially I'm curious about audio gatekeepers, the idea that you're supposed to, there's a very strong right and wrong in genres in production that goes around this gear fetishism and this boasting around who has the biggest compressor, and everybody's just, it's very sometimes very strong message. How do you find your, especially because if you're beginner or you're still entering the industry, this voice can be very strong. How do you fight that voice, and how do you personally deal with this thing?
It's something that I learned on the way. Maybe you remember from our talks about your books, like now it's maybe 3-4 years ago. I don't remember
Yeah,
exactly.
something
When
like
my
that. I
channel,
feel like I've been
something like
writing it
that.
forever.
Yeah, I like 3-4 years ago when my channel got bigger. Like I think that was when I get maybe over 25, maybe 50K followers. I don't remember exactly, but that was the moment that I felt the pressure, because suddenly I am this person online and I teach things people. And if I produce music, my music has to be perfect, because now those people can look at my music and say, you're telling me on your YouTube tutorials that how to make this and that, then you produce this track, but this track is really bad, so why should I care about you? That was the pressure for a year that I had, like I think it was 2019, 20, somewhere around there, that really hold me for a year, that I didn't release anything, because I felt like I have to make perfect track. Otherwise, I am like an imposter. I cannot
Yeah,
teach anything if I am not making the perfect track in the world. Then I realized there
feeling
is
that.
no perfect track. There is, everybody just goes with the flow, whatever they want to do, and it happens. And it was actually, I would say, my worst year musically, that didn't produce any music. I didn't like the tracks that I did produce, because I was always trying to like not focusing on the ideas or emotions more importantly, but I was too much focusing on the technicalities. Is this kick the perfect sample? Is this bass absolutely perfection? And those things matter so little. I will give an example. I was talking with Andrea 2 days ago, and we were listening to Monsieur Plex. What was the name of the track? Warden remix. So that track maybe came around 10 years ago. Amazing track. I love that track so much. But I never actually listened to it until I remixed the track again. And before I listening to it, I was listening as a casual listener. like a normal person listens to track, like you just listen to melodies and everything. And I remember this track was perfection. Now I come back after 10 years and I realize, I hope Maseo doesn't get angry at me, but the mix is so bad in that track. I was like, oh my God, it really doesn't matter, does it? Like, all it matters is if the idea or the emotions are right in the track. A regular person absolutely don't care anything else. And I
Yeah.
remember that was like one of my eye-opening moments. Nobody cares. All you need to
Nobody
do,
cares.
nobody cares. All you need to do is like make people feel stuff. If you can
Hmm.
do that, people will love your music.
Do you know what? I so agree. And, this kind of conversation is the same as when people talk about do you need to have certain amount of knowledge or gear or anything, music theory knowledge, certain amount of like, you can make people feel with iPhone.
Yes,
If
you
you,
can. It's
it's
so
honestly like in my first album that I didn't know how to produce. It's with GarageBand. It's with £1 microphone from like one of the songs on my first album is with £1 microphone from Poundland. It's like a karaoke microphone, and it was like through a borrowed mixing table to GarageBand, and it's just one guitar loop that sounds horribly crackled, and then I just talk the story through it, and then I do some whistly things. But it's so atmospheric. It's so beautiful. And when I listen to it now, and I record it in Glasgow at 4 a.m. after working in a bar, and I was just thinking, like, that is the cheapest track that ever, but it just makes you feel. It's so not perfect, but it's perfect in its imperfection.
exactly. Just
And,
making people feel something. That is the gift. That is the, like, I think we all should be striving for.
I 100% agree. And I think, to be honest, isn't it funny that the more you start learning production, then you start thinking that you need to know everything. And then comes to a point where you start unlearning things and you start try to make things more crackly and more imperfect. And you're like, I want the crackles. I want the imperfections. I want the weird glitches and all this shit that you kind of try to get away first. And now you're just like trying to get back to that. But it's almost like you need to relearn yourself to not to be that like
It's a
perfect.
journey, like becoming producers. I think that's the reason many people will say you will get a become a better producers in time, because you understand more things, not the technicalities, but you become a better like musician, the
Yeah.
songwriter, like a composer, I will say.
I agree. So, third question, which is related to the one that was already there. As a producer, DJ, YouTuber, company owner, etc., 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 how do you manage your time between all these responsibilities while staying productive in your music? How do you have time for it all?
I of course don't, but I sacrifice
That's
things.
so
Like
real.
I do sacrifice things. Like I don't have a very social life. Like I wouldn't go out every single day. I don't even go out in the weekends other than the days that I play. And that's not matter. I think that doesn't matter. I wouldn't probably go either. So I'm not that type of very like a social person. But what matters more is there are things that you can cut and that won't hurt you. So there are things that you can improve the efficiency with. For example, a typical example will be if you are making a track, do you need to really create a hi-hat MIDI every single time that you are making? So what you could do in Ableton, like write the 16 rolling hat pattern, do as much as you can do. Like you put the right velocities, put a groove, put everything, then just save it. The next time, all you need to do is just switch the sample. And then you have all these pluses and things that you have done there. Now just in a new sound. What I'm doing nowadays that I save everything that I think that is good. It's a good synth sound, save it. It's a good synth, it's a good low end, save it. I would have like a low end library in my Ableton now. So if I need a rolling bass line, I made it all like 10 of them. Like I will pick one of them and it will take me like, I don't know, if I'm picking 30 seconds maybe. But if you are like trying to create from the scratch, to create that good of a rolling baseline for you, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe you won't even be able to do it because you haven't tested in the car. But all those loops that I have, I probably created them many months ago, maybe years ago, and I tested them. I actually released probably a couple of tracks with them. So the next time I will just switch maybe preset or maybe change a layer on top of that. So
Mm.
everything that can be automated can be automated. So that also helps with me to focus on the things like what I'm focusing on a new track is that, like I told you, the hook, the idea, the thing that make that track, so that I can then go back and okay, this needs a rolling bass line, or this needs a like a maybe offbeat bass line, maybe the rumble bass line. Okay, this one needs a pad sounds. I have like a, I don't know, now maybe 20 different preset pack I made, and I know in one pack I made that type of pad sounds. I'm just gonna go that preset pack and bring it in. I'm not gonna spend time creating a pack like pad from scratch because
No.
there's no guarantee I don't even able to make it better, because when I was creating that pack, I most likely spent like hours to create that pad, and why should I spend now an hour and make a verse pad sound that I have already? That's like
That's
those
it.
things saves you so much time. Of
Yeah.
course, to come to that point takes time. Like I'm now producing many years that I build my library of sounds and presets and
Mm.
everything. So now
But it's
I
a
can do that.
process. It's like
It's a
trusting the
process.
process is that when you learn and then you learn the techniques, you learn how to like in production to save time, you will learn that's part of the process, I guess, to learn to save time as well. And I totally agree with that, is that I trust my skills and where I find sounds now, that now when I'm like, okay, I want that kind of sound, I know where to go and get it in a
Hmm.
second instead of using hours to sit there and thinking like how to make it. How about your like schedule and like I loved what you say that I don't have many friends like social loans. I was gonna say I don't have many friends. I'm just keeping my like I don't think people think that I'm very much of an extrovert because I do social media and all that, but that's what it is that I'm actually in this room by myself 24/7. And it's like having like, do you know what I mean? I feel like your life, to be able to have this kind of career, you, as you said, you do need to do certain sacrifices,
Hmm.
and the people around you need to like my husband is also an entrepreneur, so we get each other, we understand, we have passions, and those are like our babies, is like our businesses. But because we are so passionate about it, it doesn't feel consuming most of the
Hmm.
time. But yeah, so how do you like organize everything, and how do you find that, try to keep yourself stress free? Or
I think
your
stress free
smile
is
is like
like
stress
not gonna
free.
happen at all whatsoever. But at least you shouldn't be having like a damaging type of stress. Like you
Mm,
should be
this
100% stressing of things, but it should be like a, you should be able to control the stress. The other thing that I do nowadays is that I try to decide what type of things that I want to do and what type of things that I don't want to do. A super clean example is like, for example, I don't want to edit videos anymore. I don't like it, and it's not something that I can see myself doing in the future. So what I do, all my videos are edited by somebody else. Same thing with my like covers or product covers,
mm,
or like when I'm like, for example, organizing the festivals, it's most of the time my project manager doing most of the work. Like she is contacting the artist most of the time, she's dealing with the bookings, she's dealing with all the other stuff. So what I'm oftentimes doing is like, okay, let's get that place, let's get this artist, and leave the other things that can be done to the person that is passionate about it and most likely better than me in that sense as well. So it's like just prioritize away things that you don't want to do and just let somebody else do it. It's better that way. So you can have more time to do the things that you really like to do.
100% agree. 100% agree. And I'm just, you mentioned your festival, so I'm just putting it
Yes, that's
here.
why, baby.
Mercurial Tones Boutique Festival in Slaktuset. Is that
That's
how it's?
correct. In
Yes.
Stockholm.
Tack så mycket in Stockholm.
That is true. This is our first mini festival. We call it Boutique Festival. It will be, for example, we're talking about stress. This stresses me out because it's our first super serious mini festival, and it stressed me because I want the perfect festival for the artists, for everybody that's coming, that everybody that is working there as well. So it's of course will stress you out, but it's a good type of stress, like a stress that makes you do good things, and I can live
That's
with that.
that's the thing is like it's so different experience to stress for yourself than to somebody else.
Yeah,
It's like it's your stress, you caused it, and it can also become damaging. I've definitely been there, but also your stress is something that it's your own fault and it's because of your passion. So it's not always damaging. It's actually enjoyable stress because you want to do something amazing. And can I just point out, I'm a massive fan of Chris Luno, and I can't believe that he's playing there. Like Chris Luno has been absolute inspiration for me in the like
he's
couple of
killing it.
last
I'm
years.
fan of him as well. I told him like I want you to play here. Like I was talking with him previously, but I was like, Chris, you play here now. How can we make it happen? You have to play.
Oh my god, that's so cool. He's such a cool like he's invented this new area of YouTube and like to DJ, the way that he films this stuff and the sets and stuff, and it's really really inspirational.
Lovely person. I'm so looking forward to watch him play, and
Oh, I bet.
I'm sure he will kill it. Like I have no doubt whatsoever. And that's a good thing, right? Because I'm organizing the event. I get to pick the artist. It's so good. It's so good.
See, that's the thing about this job as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like there's so many perks. It's like you can pick who you work with.
exactly. It's so good.
Like
We were talking like the next event. I was like, who I want to watch? Like, who am I gonna like get this time? Who should I bring? It's so nice. Like I
I
get
know
to
this
pick.
really good like chill like person who does it called LNA.
Yeah, I heard about her. Yeah, I heard about her. I think it will be a really
Can I
nice.
do like the 10 a.m. slot or like the 5 p.m. slot? Can I be like the one who's like when people are coming in, I'm just there like
Vibing. Yeah.
yeah, I want to do those slots. I that's kind of now as a DJ when I start DJing, I want to do those slots where like everybody's kind of still sober and it's just the
We are planning like a bigger event for next year. There will be like a outside space and there will be inside
ooh,
space. And outside space, I think the club
that's
opens
really
or
cool.
the event local area opens at 10, I think. You see? Perfect time. Now we know who
Oh,
is playing at 10 o'clock.
oh my God. I wonder if anyone is like actually going to festivals and requesting to be first, but that will be me. That will be me
Always.
because I think that's part of my like I realized my neurodiversity is that I prefer like when it's like less crowded and busy and I can just play my chill house and just be like all atmospheric and and then I can just chill for the rest of the
You
night.
know what's gonna happen? Like I tell you. So when you play this type of events, like you
Mm.
think that you don't enjoy, then people come and then they vibe and they start dancing and they like kind of pump you up, and then you're like, no, I'm not gonna
Oh.
leave this deck. I'm gonna play 1 more hour. It's so you will see,
I will see. Okay. I will
you will
see.
see.
That's
It's
like I was not
fun.
I was not going to become a DJ at all and now I'm like I'm enjoying it so much. And yeah, I'm going to talk about that actually more in the next session. But we have questions now for Alice.
Yes,
So,
go.
let's bring Sophie here. Hello, Sophie.
Sophie's back.
Hey.
Sophie's back, and I'm not going to just click you off quickly. So, Sophie, we have some questions there.
Indeed. So we might not have time for all of them, so I'll get through, hopefully we'll get through as many as possible. Cool. So the first one was, which is a really difficult question, I think. How do you know when a track is finished?
Because for me nowadays easy. I have like 3 days. That track is finished in 2 days. I don't care if it is not finished in 3 days. So I
Mm.
have the deadlines, really hard deadlines. So I'm oftentimes for this week, like I need to finish this track because this track has to go out like in 2 months, but we have to schedule it, or another label is waiting for me to give a track. So I don't bother about like if it is like perfect drop here or perfect, I don't know, hi-hat there and so on and so forth. Like I said, I only care about the idea. Idea is there. Now I know 3 days, 2 days, whatever it is, it's finished. It's finished. Deadline.
That's
No
the
more
thing.
like going back and forth and juggling with the track.
Do you know, like what we talked about, those mechanics? I agree. Like what more you do, the faster you create tracks, and the more you have deadlines, you start trusting that the mechanics are just mechanics. If they're slightly off, that's fine, as long as the main, the what you say, the emotion is there, the hook is there, all that is there. Mechanics usually, like when I was younger or like more beginner, I feel like I was obsessing over this stuff that I thought mattered, and then you kind of, what more experience you become, that you start trusting that. You kind of realize that it doesn't matter. So just come on, post it up.
Also, you can take this as an insider. Like I said, I'm nowadays working with superstar DJs. Like these are the one of the biggest names in the industry. And all they focus, all they think is if they had that good idea that will make their track really not, I wouldn't say different, but that will make that their different a banger. And all they don't, I don't find them care about, okay, this mix is a bit here, that kick is a bit there, blah blah blah. All they care about nailing that idea, and they have it, they just finish it. They don't care about those small things. Like they never do.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about all this and how to achieve that in the next workshop as well, because that is later today, and how we can get that in the workflow. So we're going to be continuing from this. This is such a good advice, Alice.
Amazing. Cool. Cool. So the next question, any tips on landing good hooks?
There is, and there is. What you do, you go back. You go back to child songs. You go back old drinking songs. You go back. Depends on your genres, of course. Like if you are making like, I don't know, more catchier type of techno track, then you go like this type of. Where do you find catchier songs, catchier melodies? Child songs. They are always so catchy that just sticks here. You just listen a couple of those, and I guarantee you find something. You don't need to like copy paste it, but that you realize, oh my god, like repeating that notes like that and then doing that change right after is a genius idea. But if I do it a bit different, and will that work? And then you just get into that flow. Like if I want to create kind of old school, let's say not old school, but like a bit more emotional track, I will go listen to the ballads. Like, okay, what makes those tracks like emotional that I'm missing now? And you listen and you immediately realize, oh, that chord progression, or that melody, or that drums, whatever. Like there are so much music that is so good, that is done so well for so many years. There's like a big library of perfection that you should be definitely getting inspiration from. Like you don't need to, I mean, of course, you can write completely 100% track without getting inspiration from anything that you think, but you 100% inspired from something else you don't remember now. But anyways, it's another discussion. But if you need the inspiration, go back. There are so much inspiration in the back.
Yeah, agree.
I think that's a really cool answer. Yeah.
Keeping it simple, isn't it? It's like keeping it, like not overthinking. And there was something that I've realized recently is that, like, don't be afraid of also silence, because silence usually give you so much more impact into hooks as well. So it's like what I've started to do. I always thought that hooks need to be like like something that kind of repeats. But then, example, the song that I played in this intro, I have like dee 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 dee. And so there's like a clear pause there, and that is the impactful thing. And especially because it's very emotional, kind of like melancholic track, it adds to that. So it's like keeping it simple, but also not keeping it, like not being afraid to give things a pause, a silence.
It builds so much anticipation and contrast. Like that silence, what's going to happen next? It's just like this pure anticipation moment. And if you deliver right after the silence, it's like, it's the moment.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
what we're looking for.
Exactly.
It's coming home.
Love it. It's so true. Cool. I think we can take maybe 2 more questions. So there's another one which I think is a really good question, which is, what's the best advice you've ever gotten regarding your career in music?
I want to hear this.
Let me think, because I really want to give an idea that really defined my career, like what made my career better. I will say most likely it is like understanding the rule of what's the name of that rule of interest, or rule of like the small improvements leads to big results in the long term. Don't, if you are lucky, maybe you get famous or you make a track overnight and you blow up. But most of the people out there, which is 99.99% probably, things happen gradually. So what you need to do, you put like a good goals that you can achieve, and then you continuously improve. Keep going, keep doing it, keep making it better. You just need to make it slightly better than yesterday or slightly better than last month, and then you eventually get a point that you are way better than where you were. The better doesn't need to be your production. The better could be your work ethics. The better could be your efficiency on doing things. Better could be your songwriting skills. But because you are keep doing better, keep improving for a long period of time, that impact, that small improvement has so big effects on the long term.
It's like the quantity and it's like consistency. Just keep at it. Just keeping at it, and things will happen eventually. I would add to that, like, one, I don't know if this question was for me literally as well, but just something that came to my mind that I've been told was that like, this was a realization. I can't remember where it was. I think it was a TikTok that said, become comfortable in your mediocrity. And I think it sums up so much, is that the world is full of talented people. And unfortunately, you are not more special than anyone else in a way. But it gives you, don't look at it negatively. Look at it in a very empowering positivity. Because if nobody gives a shit and you are one of million, it allows you to do whatever you want and become completely comfortable in yourself. And you know that if you keep at it, as Alice was saying, you will find your slot, your people, your place in this world. That it's you. Like, even if you wouldn't ever blow up, and even if you would never become famous, you might find 1,000 people who absolutely are there for you and 100% for you. And personally, that's something that I have wanted to strive for, with that gradual progress, because I find it more easier for me to maintain, and it's easier to think that than think that I would ever become anything more, because also then it takes away a lot of jealousy, because you just realize the world is just full of beautiful, amazing, they're not your competition, they're just as passionate, as beautiful, as talented, as amazing people. And the world is just not built so that we all can have that platform. But if you keep on doing it and you don't give up, you will find your slot, your place in this world and in this industry. And that will give you eventually more, I guess, gratitude and balance and still money to survive, if you just keep at it and don't give up.
Don't underestimate the self-discipline. That's what I also like that. Like,
yes.
Keep the self-discipline. Nobody, if you are doing this type of work that we are doing, creative workflow, nobody will tell you to do anything. So you have to have this like self-discipline to do stuff, improve it. Also, like I'm saying, of course, like keep doing it and so on and so forth. But I'm not just saying to do the same thing over and over again and expect something else, but do the stuff, get feedback, try to improve it the next day, change something different. And those small changes, you never know which one will be the right choices. And you will realize one day, oh my God, that video that I made this small change and it blew up. Or that track that I tried something new and oh my God, a lot of streams. Or that, I don't know, if you're making education sources like that class that I did, or that sample pack I did. Like there's so many things that you can do. You can iterate slightly different every single time until you find the thing that makes sense, that improves whatever you are doing, and keeping that self-discipline. Like keep going.
And be kind to yourself while doing it. And
Yeah,
it's
of
okay
course.
to have a rest day. I'm
It's
trying
okay
to
to
learn
rest.
that. Hey, thank you so much. I just want to, we are coming to the end now. Is there anything else, Alice, that you would like to tell us before we're ending this session?
The biggest thing is like we touched a bit like the festival this Friday. If you're in Stockholm, you should come. Another thing, I will be playing on Berlin, Helsinki, London, Amsterdam, and Stockholm. Helsinki. So if you want to come join me one of my shows, you can find it on my Instagram, I think that, or my Spotify, maybe. Spotify should also have it. So one of those. And that's it, I think.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And everybody who's listening, I just want to remind you that in half an hour, 6:30 starts my masterclass about workflows, where you will get your second task for 12 days of creativity. And we will talk about all these things that we talk with Alice and how to put them into action, how to actually achieve them kindly to yourself, and also so that you don't overwhelm yourself. And when you don't have time, we will find a way for you to kind of address all that.
That sounds like an amazing masterclass. You shouldn't miss it.
Thanks, Alice. That's so kind. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for inviting me here.
And go to Alice's festivals, gigs, channel, Instagram, everywhere, and follow Alice, because inspiration is all around. Thank you, everybody, and I'm just gonna end the stream here. Bye. We are like